2021 is not just a change of digit. In fact, இது வந்து ஒரு change of spirit இருக்கு. Everything seems a lot more happier, healthier and so much more normal. Well, of course, we'll talk about one thing that we don't like to speak about, but we cannot ever forget, and that, of course, is the year of 2020. Few days back, I read something in the paper that really shocked me. It spoke about human behavior during the pandemic, and some habits turned out to be really horrific. For example, the number of selfies that men and women were taking turned out to be way too much. The number of hours spent on social media was extremely insane. And also one thing that you have to know is that the amount of junk food that people were consuming was very unhealthy. Now all these 3 points are bad. Did we have any good during the pandemic? I'll tell you what, the answer is yes. And the answer is the fact that many people got back to the world of books. Whether reading the physical books, be it Kindle, be it audiobooks, and we thought that this is one habit that's gotta continue. And that's why Moor Market presents the book show Chaptered by Harper. Now today on the first show of the book show, we've got someone very interesting. I mean, I feel I know her so well, but I promise you I haven't seen her or I haven't ever spoken to her before. That's what books do, right? You know the person so well. She is a mind-blowing singer. Yes, she's a singer, script writer. She's also a songwriter. She's extremely wonderful and a brilliant author. This, I can tell you, is like almost one wish come true as we talk to the author of 3 Impossible Wishes, presenting Anmol Malik on the book show. Yeah, hi Anmol, how are you? Hi.
I am good, and I'm very astounded by the introduction. Thank you. I hope. But really, did we start eating that unhealthy suddenly just because?
I mean, it looks like you were doing all the healthy things. You're looking absolutely fine and fit. So welcome to the show, Anmol. I must tell you, this is our first show of the book show, and it's great to have a young face, a young author, because some people believe that reading is something of the past. I mean, who reads these days is what some people are in the mindset of. But I'm glad that a young face like you is presenting to the young generation the importance, the value, and the longevity of what reading is all about. So thank you.
I think people are missing out by not reading, because reading is a time capsule. It's like a little bit of an escape. It's a portal. You open the book and you step into a whole new world. So.
Absolutely. If you didn't like the world we had in 2020, then you definitely like the world that this one offered you. Correct? Yeah, I got this. Oh, same pinch, Anmol. Okay, I'll tell you what, we've got lots to talk about. Now, as an author, Anmol Malik, but before all of this, you were working in the movies, playback singing, coming up with your singles, your copywriting. There was a lot that you were doing. And this is an avatar of yours that we see. Now, let's talk about this book. It comes under the category of it's a fiction. Yes. But I went through the book, I read the book, and I would tell you it's not a fiction, because the way you've written this, Anmol, has a lot of, Anmol and Arya and Arya and Anmol. That's the protagonist. That's your lead, heroine or hero. But it's a lovely book. Let's talk about 3 Impossible Wishes, first of all. As cliched as it sounds, before we go to the book, what are your 3 wishes that are, man, that's impossible, it's not going to happen? Like, what?
God. Well, the reason the book was called 3 Impossible Wishes was because the first impossible wish I had was getting a book published. As you said, I've done copywriting, I've worked in films, I've written music, and everything had a lot to do with words. I love creating. I think I better express myself in words than when I'm physically giving an interview. But publishing a book is very difficult. I don't know anything about the publishing industry. I don't know how it works. And for me to be able to float a manuscript around and actually get a response seemed impossible. And which is why it was monumental when HarperCollins wrote back. And I think I'll be eternally grateful that they picked up the book and it became my debut novel. So that was my impossible wish. And now I hope I can continue writing more in the future and have people read it and show me some love.
That's just one chapter. What happened to the other two wishes? Whether it's you know
I'm a
singing,
very simple
whether it's
person. I don't have too many wants in life. I just want to keep
you know
writing.
you just have achievements, not desires. You just achieve them all immediately. Okay, let's talk about the book. You know, when someone writes their first book, this is your debut book, right? As an author,
Yes.
you've written a lot of you know mini publications, mini stories. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
But this is your first book as an author, actually.
Mhm.
So you could run anything in today's world of social media. When you want to grab all the attention, you do something out of the box or out of the world, or something very controversial or something very communicative. That's where you stand. So why did Anmol Malik choose a slice of life book?
Firstly, because I think it's the film background. I have grown up on a staple diet of rom-coms, and I absolutely love them. I love them because I feel they can cover a whole range of emotions, and you know, you can say so much in a very simple rom-com. But you can parcel it up really neatly like a little gift. So I would say this book is like a Jab We Met or a Notting Hill or a Bridget Jones's Diary, and it's a movie in a book, which I thought was very interesting. But I think, so I read a lot, but one of my favorite authors is actually a screenwriter, and he's Richard Curtis, who's written Notting Hill. And he said there are only so many ways you can, you know, talk about a rom-com. It's a boy and a girl and they fall in love. How many extra ways can you say it? And so when he wrote Notting Hill, it was a boy falls in love with a superstar. It's just about changing that equation a little bit. Three Impossible Wishes is actually set in the same year that the 26/11 Bombay attacks happened. It's all in the same year that the immigration laws were getting tighter, and there was this horrible rumor around my campus that if you fail the year, you get deported. Probably not true, but when you're a teenager and you know you're miles away from home, you're ready to believe pretty much anything, and it's got a bit of a racial undertone to it. You know, the rumor is a little mean, and that's what I wanted to explore, because being an international student on a campus doesn't just mean you're from India. It means you could be Pakistani, you could be Australian, you could be Canadian, you could be Russian, and everybody is trying to make a home away from home, and that's always very difficult. So that's one of the themes I wanted to explore. The book itself has a lot of other themes that are similar. One is about being true to yourself, finding, you know, standing up to people who mean well to you. And of course, at its core, there's also a father-daughter relationship. There's also unrequited love. But it's the love story between a Russian boy and an Indian girl. Done. Long answer.
Okay, so Anmol, that was very well explained. It was said in a very sweet way. But how much of Anmol is in the book? Whether it is the desire, you know, when they said that there is this part in the book where they say that, you know, arts will not give you a life. You can't do arts for a career. You can't make a life out of arts. It's just a hobby. It's a part of life. You can't do it as a lifetime thing. Now, is this a contradiction, or is this a decision you had to take in your life? You know, should I continue what I love to do? Or no, someone said, no, man, stick to science, engineering, CA, something of that sort.
No, my parents were very, very kind that way. They're the reason I could actually write, because they have never curbed my freedom for creativity. But the dialogue is actually something that came from one of the various counselors. I met some very good student counselors. Some of them were not so nice. And one of them basically said, you can't make a career out of writing. And I said, well, you know, there's J.K. Rowling. And they're like, yes, but she's a genius. Are you a genius? I think when you're 16 and you...
That's a hard question, yeah.
You know what? You don't automatically think you can be the next big thing. But I think creating does to me is it gives me a certain joy. Whenever I create, I don't expect it to be a hit or a flop. I don't think of numbers. I think, oh, this is making me really happy. I can escape for a bit. And if you curb that in a child, that's not very nice. So I think that line stuck around in my head for a very long time.
Very well said. Okay, as we move on now, you know, you said this is inspired, like it's written in the form of a movie. It's a rom-com. I swear, when I was reading this, it reminded me exactly of one Yash Raj Films movie. You know, that kind of a layout. So I had this question that was supposed to be at the end of the show, but then hey, I mean, we don't write a book with chapter 1, chapter 2. We just speak what's in the heart.
Oh,
At
no,
least on this show.
My editor Swati had the hardest time because I kept calling them scenes, because for me they were exactly set as scenes in my head. So I was like, oh, scene 25, and she's like, Anmol, this is a book. We need to
Chapter.
get chapter.
So I have a couple of questions that are right here, which need to come out immediately. A is example, as we talk about chapters, you've named every chapter as a food plate or a food dish, So is that the foodie in you that, you say these were some dishes I think will suit? Yeah.
It is, something about, okay, when you look at perfumes or you look at smell, like if you think about the smell of rain, on wet mud, it'll immediately remind you of a very specific moment in time. Freshly cut grass, buttered toast, these smells will remind you of something. For me, I feel even food does that. Like why is comfort food comfort food? Because dahi chawal, if you're eating it in the middle of Paris, is going to remind you of the time, your mom came to your room and put a blanket on you and, put you to sleep. So I think even food has a way of transporting you. Music has a way of transporting you. And I think those are very important emotions to capture. So for me, a lot of the food chapters are named after the food I particularly ate when I was at university. And I think every time I would think of those foods till today, I get transported back to my dorm and back to deadlines and friends and 3 a.m. conversations. I love my friends, I think.
I mustn't say this, but the way you wrote it all, it made me hungry throughout the book. I was like, wow, this sounds so...
Parathas with mayonnaise is a really good combination.
I haven't tried that, but I will. So, one thing which I see as something very positive here is though the heroes that you refer to, who were your role models or who are your inspiration, right from J.K. Rowling to the screenwriter of Notting Hill, these are all international, non-Indian. Yeah.
Right.
But I see some great talent in India, like yourself and so many more. How do you gauge in terms of literature, in terms of art, in terms of writing? How do you see an Indian being placed on the global map? Do you think, we read a lot of international authors. Do they read a lot of Indian authors? Do they read the books?
Well, I'm in no position to comment on the latter bit. I don't know because I'm just starting out. But I would say India is already on the global map. We are bursting with talent. I look at people from our country and I go, wow, there is so much good stuff happening here. We're bursting with talent. Including the language though, that's written, I've written the book in. My senior year thesis at the University of Warwick was on the Indian English, which is a language that's very, it's grown from the heartland of India. What I mean by that is we speak English, but we speak English in a very Indian way, which is an amalgamation of a lot of the slang words, a lot of sentence structures that are very native to only India. And it's such a widely spoken language at this point of time that Salman Rushdie, writes in that language. So does the author of Shantaram. And this was something that I was trying to prove in my thesis. And it kind of bled into the way I was writing my book as well. So Indian English is actually a formidable language in its own right. It's got this beautiful rhythm. It's got its own color. And I think you can sense that even in the writing of this book.
What, according to you, is the success of a book? Is it reviews? Is it the publisher saying, we've done that well? Because at the end of it, it's an expression, it's entertainment, but it's also a business venture. So how do you balance success in this industry?
So everybody who has backed the book is writing a book may be a solitary process, but publishing it eventually requires a whole team of people, their dreams, their hard work behind it. So I would want everyone invested in this book to feel like it was a success. So I really hope it did well according to the publishers, but they seem happy. So
of course. Mr. Pratik is very happy about the success of this book and the way it influenced young people. I've spoken to him and he was very happy about it.
Pratik, awesome. But the thing is, I feel for me, the day I realized that, the book's doing well is when a lot of young girls, that's the target market that I wanted to reach, the girls who go to school, who are going to university, when they started creating fan art of Vladimir from the book and Arya, when they started quoting their dialogues, because there's this one dialogue in the book which he tells her, I will not leave until I hear the storm in your heart. Or she's like, the work I did was very small. And he's like, oh, no, but even snowflakes are small. But, when put together, they can create a storm. And it, just stuff like that. They were taking it back to me. And I forgot what I had written in the book. For me, that blew my mind. I was like, okay, wait, I'm reading the reviews. The girls are loving this. And that's what made me feel that's success. So for me, that's success. That for when people say, absolutely, I love Vladimir, why isn't he real? That's when I
that is it. If you connect to people and if your dream makes other people dream,
yes.
That's the best thing.
Rajiv, the craziest thing was there were girls out there who were making fan art of Vladimir, of the university, of the food. And it was exactly how I saw it in my head. For me, it felt so crazy that they saw it exactly how I'd written it. What can I say?
I know. Sometimes great writers and great orators like you also are left speechless.
I'm just starting out. I keep saying that for me, this is very overwhelming. To get a book deal is overwhelming. To be able to write, every time I sit to write, it blows my mind that there is this idea in my head that I can put on paper. I'm always very thankful for that. But then to be able to have people read it and to show me some love. Man,
it's wonderful. Anmol, they say this, it's a very well superpower word or dialogue. Not that you've written, but someone else has. Heroes have, superheroes have. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Now, you seem to be, with the voice that you have, with the vision that you have, and the pen that you hold, you have great power. But what is the vision of Anmol Malik? Let me understand where Anmol is a very young girl today, but she has a vision that's a futuristic one. So, do you want to make slice of life books and stories where people understand the simplicity and values of life? That life every day, a normal life is a great life, right? Or do you actually have a message that you stand for? That you say, this is what I warmed up with the audience. Now see where I take you, because I have something strong to tell you. Who is Anmol Malik, the author?
I think I want to show the beauty that this world has to offer. I feel the world is very beautiful, and we, in the daily dirt of life, we kind of forget about it because there's a lot of sadness as well. So I kind of want to live or create. I want to create a world which has that kind of magic, where good things happen to good people. Because sometimes we don't see it happening as often as it should. I want to marry music and books together.
That's the world that has been created. Good things for good people, not controversy, tension, problems. We need a place of positivity, and that is Anmol Malik. Thankfully.
There's going to be tension, there's going to be sadness, but in the end, like the movies, it all works out.
Happy ending. Okay, let's move on. As we talk so much, like you already answered this question to a fair deal, but I would like to just take it 1 inch deeper and understand this a bit more. Copywriter, great at the script department, wonderful singer, music creator, right? You made your singles, author. Now, my only question to you is, Anmol, it's great to say I can do everything. That's sometimes when you have too much of talent, that's a call you need to make. You have. Listen. Let's keep the humility aside for this question.
But okay.
Okay, but I see you have so many hobbies that are being converted into a profession. Now, I would like to know, is Anmol Malik, at this very young age, of course, you still can afford to experiment with all of this. But at the end of it, are you going to specialize in one field? Or are you going to do everything and try and balance it out, giving each audience, let's be clear, the audience don't overlaps. The audience for music, the audience for movies, and the audience for books are different. But the person making it is the same. Are you trying to cater to too many people, or are you scared of specializing?
I don't think the audience is different. I'm not scared of specializing. I don't think the audience is very different. The audience is always going to go for quality content. I say that because I'm the audience myself. I love watching movies. I love watching TV series, reading books. And for me, whatever gives me the maximum enjoyment or entertainment is what I'm drawn to. At the end of the day, though, at my core, I am a writer, which is why I suppose I wrote music.
Thank God. We'll have one more. We'll have one more. We'll have many more. Yeah.
I write music, the copywriting bit. I did a bunch of odd jobs just to sustain the fact that I could continue to write. And that's what gives me the most joy. So I think at its core, at the central pinpoint, that is what I would love to specialize in. I studied creative writing at the University of Warwick.
Absolutely. No, very well said. And you've connected great ways. We wish, it's a possible wish. We wish for lots more from you. But as we move on now, people looking at you would say, man, this is a lovely world. I have 3 different parts of, your culmination into an author that I'd like to ask you. One is the education of it. You did a bit of your studies in India. You went abroad. You learned script writing there. You came back. You worked with Disney, Yash Raj Films, right?
Yes.
I've done a bit of homework. That way, I'm good. Okay. So I would like to ask you: do you think the creative education in terms of media, advertisement, filmmaking in India leaves a lot to be desired? Because you've studied that and you know this. And it's fine as long as we understand that, we need to change, we need to adapt. Do you think the education system in terms of media needs to change?
The reason I went abroad was to actually study computer science. I didn't leave India if I wanted to study English literature from the get-go. I should have just stayed back in India. The thing was, I went to the UK to study computer science because in my stupid head, I think I bought into a lot of what everybody else was saying, that, the creative industry doesn't really pay well, which is really dumb of me to base my passion on money. So I thought, computer science, why not? Let's have a lucrative career. And midway through the first year, I realized I've made a huge blunder and I can't back out now. And all around me were signs calling out to literature, sign up for this course. Here's an open library. And I was like, I've been an idiot not to avail of that. And so I started studying literature.
That's magic, isn't that? You saw the magic around you. Yeah, go on.
It was actually my dean who pulled me up. And I think the dean in this book is a homage to the dean from my university. But had I stayed in India, I would have been just as happy. In fact, my parents and I keep discussing this all the time, that if this is what I had to do eventually, I should have just been in India and, studied it. The point is, education is very important, and it is a privilege, and I'm grateful.
Absolutely.
To have it. So there's nothing wrong with there's no comment I would like to make. Just education is very important. I would be nowhere.
Absolutely. That's very well said. That is very wisely said. Education is a privilege. That's what you said, and I completely agree with you. As we would like to learn one more lesson from you, for those who have this passion for writing. Nowadays, people are blogging. They are holding the camera and vlogging. They're writing long status on Facebook and Instagram. If someone wants to be an author, right? How do they publish their book? And is this a lucrative career? Now, this is a question that you were answered when you were young. People were saying you can't make it a lucrative career. Times have changed. The business has changed. The forum has changed. So how do you actually publish your book? What's the process? It depends on
everyone's definition of lucrative. For me, lucrative is I can create what, I can live out my passions. I don't know anything else besides creating. So for me to be, to not be able to do this would probably kill me. So for me, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to keep doing. So that is lucrative enough for me. This is what attracted me to the profession. And I think that's what brings in the good people into your life. While writing this book, I was fortunate enough to meet such people. I think the luck of the book is what dragged such people into my life. Like I said, I don't know anything about publishing. I don't know who to connect with, what is the process. All I knew was there's this submission portal, and you just kind of send your manuscript. But there is this very so it basically started off with this very nice company called Bound India.
Okay, correct.
And they kind of aided me into how to edit a manuscript or to just prepare a basic pitch. Via which they shopped it around to another agency called Writer's Side, which is run by Mr. Kanishka, who saw the manuscript and then shopped it around himself to publishers. And eventually it was Swati from Harper. She's the commissioning editor. So she picked it up and she passed it on to, within the company. And that via process
has been passed around the globe. It's passed all over.
Which is why I'm saying, to even have such people, I wouldn't have known any of them had it not been for the luck of the book. So,
Absolutely.
the job was lucrative. I wanted to do it. And then the path started slowly opening up.
Sometimes they say the magic of life, as you say, and you quoted this couple of times, is so wonderful. If you plan your destination, the journey will find its way. The people, the paths, the twists, the turns, the barriers, everything will come by. If you have a sincere destination, the journey will be there.
Absolutely, Rajiv. I didn't write this book thinking it would get published. I wrote this book because I wanted to make myself happy. I sat and wrote the entire manuscript, and I had no idea what would ever happen to it. So I think every work of art comes with its own destiny. You can't say what's going to happen to it.
Talking about destiny, you've been blessed with very creative parents, right?
Yes.
So that's something which is a wonderful blessing. At the age of 5, you started off a career with singing. So tell me a bit about your dad, Mr. Anmol Malik. I'm a big fan of his. Please convey my regards to him. But
things in common. I'm a big
India is a big fan. So tell me about his influence on your music, on your writing, and basically when they say Anu Malik's daughter, right? Hold on, there's a bit of a pressure here. Man, you already come with a great legacy, great standard of success, great amount of creativity and entertainment. Do you feel this, okay, this is a bit too much. Let me just stick to Anmol.
Let me just stick to Anmol. I've never navigated as being anything as being Anu Malik's daughter, because I know he's, a lot. I think the first compliment I received, what I would consider a genuine compliment for the book, was when people wrote back saying, "Hey, it hit me later that you're related to Anu Malik." But that has been the biggest influence on my life, even creatively. Not just in music, because music has been such a big part of my household. Because you'd wake up in the morning to the sound of his harmonium, and us doing riyaz. But also, we'd have directors who'd come to the sitting room, which is in one part of the house. And I remember for the longest time that the director would be narrating a scene. I'd be standing outside the door, and it was very fascinating for me to hear, because he'd be talking about, the emotion behind the scene, the action that's happening, the story flow. I think that was the first time stories started coming into my head. And my dad has this habit that when the director is speaking, he would just be playing the harmonium, kind of subconsciously.
I've seen that,
and it's creating this background. Together, they are weaving a tapestry of emotions. The director's speaking about the scene, he's narrating it, the dialogues, my dad's giving the music, and suddenly, from the other side of the door, here's me, as a 6-year-old, I can see the movie happening in front of me. It's such a powerful image. It's such a powerful image. And it's a memory that's never going to leave me. And I think that's what's influenced me to get into writing. And that's why it's so difficult for me to separate the two. For me, music and films and writing, they all go hand in hand.
It's one life. It's one. You've grown up with all of this, isn't it?
Exactly.
So tell me, when you sang for your dad, right? You've sung a lot of songs. Different age groups, right, from 5 to 16, and in the recent as well, making your own singles.
Which you may have noticed, like a lot of songs in a lot of alaps, which just go completely
but we'll make you sing for sure. It is one line for sure. But tell me, how is it working with the music director, Anu Malik? Does he treat you like a singer, my daughter, give a couple of chances?
In the studio is a thorough professional. There is no, she's my daughter who's come in. In the studio is Anu. Working for a music director, you have to respect their creativity. You have to respect the way they've seen the song. So you can't suddenly go around changing the song, because they have, being a music director is very difficult because they've thought about everything. They've thought about the singer's line. They've thought about what the guitarist will play, what the rhythm section is going to be, what the brass section is going to be. And you have the manuscript in front of you. So you have to just read what the music director has written, and you have to sing that, and you have to, you have to be according to his vision, because he's a director of music. So essentially you are a part of his movie. So yes, so he's a thorough professional in the studio.
So tell me, what is the feedback he's given you for your book? Has he read the book?
You know something? He didn't know I was writing a book.
What are you saying? Are you that secretive? What are you saying?
And then he was doing this interview where someone's like, "Oh, congratulations on, your daughter's debut novel." And he's like, "Oh, thank you." And then he comes out of the room and he goes, "Tune book likh di?" But once he found out, he kept the book by his bedside, and he spent a whole month every night, reading a chapter very sweetly. And then he came back with very detailed notes. He loved the book because I heard him laughing a lot in the book. And then he came back with detailed notes. Like, I think this could have been stronger, and I think this could have been shorter, and this was great. And who is this Russian boy? Were you in love with the
The father came in. The father had to come in there. Okay, as he's one of the geniuses that India has seen in terms of entertainment and creativity. Now, tell me one thing: as a creator, that you're never satisfied. Once you do something, after 2 days, hey, wait, I could have done that slightly differently. So, if I could tell you this masterpiece of yours, if you could change something about it. No, I definitely think it is. To enjoy a slice of life is a brilliant bite, So tell me, if you could redo something about it, would you have changed something? A character, the location, the situation, the timing, something?
Now I look back, and there are things that I would like to change, but then I read the book again, and I'm like, no, I don't want to change it. Not because it's perfect. It's not. It's far from perfect. But that's what I love about it, because it's a snapshot of that time of my life. It's exactly me when I was 19. And that's what I love about it. It's all my friends, all the people, not just my friends, all the people I have watched. It's 2008 in these many pages. It's the year 2008. It's this little book.
From here, what next in terms of an author? I would like to understand that in terms of an author, what do you have coming up?
I am currently writing, and let's see now where that takes us. I'm currently working on new stuff, again, rom-coms, but it'll be a completely different landscape from this one. Though the University of Wesley will be revisited again, and there will be a lot more rom-coms there. So let's see what the future holds.
Fantastic. We're waiting. Yeah, definitely. And last one that I like to ask you: social media, right? Finally, everyone's connecting. Your fans are connecting with you there. Before we have your social Instagram handle for people to connect with you, pick up the book. You tell them what to do in terms of why they should be reading the book. Maybe give them enough reasons. But what's your take on social media? Pro, con, good, bad, positive, or really not?
I think it's a great place to connect with people, because I am a fan of various other writers and actors. So I'll be the one sending them really sappy messages like, "Oh my God, I loved your book." So I'm definitely doing that. Otherwise, there's no other way for me to reach out to them. But I personally am not a very, very big fan of social media, because I'm a very private person. So for me to take a selfie and upload it takes a lot. I think a lot about it. And also, I think when I read, I've read comments over the years, because I've bad comments and good comments, and they can really make or break your day. But I think at some point you just get a thick skin and you just kind of let it roll over, and you meet the bottom line, right? Good things happening to good people. So that's the mindset. Always
tell me about the fan reactions you've had. I'm sure you've had girls, like you said already, drawing stuff and creating all of this. But have you had these messages saying?
Yes, they've been so sweet. The very fact that they've been sending these long messages on DM, they'll always start off by saying, hey, I don't know if you will see this. I don't know if you'll read this, which is bizarre because yes, I will. I'm very interested in knowing what people have to say. I love having discussions about books, and not just my books, about books, comics, TV series. I love talking to people about it. So when girls reached out by saying, I've drawn Vladimir Petrov, how does he look? How hot is he? Sahil is here. This is what I think the university will look like. I'm eating paratha with mayonnaise. Thanks for the combination. That kind of blows my mind, and I'm so happy that people reach out and they've been reacting this strongly to the book.
Really fantastic. This is a journey that you've started off, and we're all with you, chapter by chapter, page by page, or as you say, scene by scene. You performed it brilliantly. Thank you so much, Anmol. And for all the people who would like to get in touch with you, who want to grab a copy of this book, 3 Impossible Wishes. Yep, that's how it is. So quickly tell them how can they connect with you.
You can definitely find me on Instagram at Anmol Malik 5. I'm there on Twitter as well, but I'm not very active. On Twitter, I'm Anmol Malik with a double K for some reason, because someone took my original name.
That's not copyrighted.
You could always email me at anmolmalikmsy@gmail.com.
But the best way to get to know you better, is just flip through these pages because they're wonderful.
You pick up 3 Impossible Wishes and you go to my Instagram, Anmol Malik 5, and you say, hey, I read this book and I have some thoughts about it, good, bad, and ugly. But what do you think? And I will reply. I promise you, I will reply.
Fantastic. I promised everyone watching this as well, or listening to it via podcast, that you have a lot to offer us in the future. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. This is the book show in association with HarperCollins. Thank you very much, Anmol Malik. And in your lingo, Nandri Vanakkam, which is thank you and goodbye. You can say the same.
Nandri Vanakkam.
Yeah, it's okay. Next book. I'll help you. I'll help you. Nandri Vanakkam. And Vanakkam.
Okay, wait. The Nandri part. Nandri. Did I say that
correct?
Right?
Very good. That's right. Perfect.
All right.
And for I can imagine few people hating me if I don't make you sing and sign off. So in your style, any song, any language, any tune, any ragam, talam, shruti, whatever it is, sing the song that you want. I will sign off with that. Yeah.
I'll sing 2. One in
Nandri.
English, one in Hindi.
Okay. Ready.
So the English song is something I've written. It's called Let Me Come Home.
Yes, of course.
I threw water on the sun in the evening, and the moon lies in pieces by my bedside. It still wasn't dark enough, so I picked a jar. I held it to the night sky and captured all the stars. Still I have dreams I don't like. There are nightmares I love. There must be something wrong. I am yet to be born. Let me come home where you are. Let me come home. I'm tired of being alone. Let me come.
Wow! You closed your eyes, but you showed us a different side of Anmol Malik. Now the Hindi one.
ये इश्क नहीं आसान, ये इश्क नहीं आसान, कुछ दूरियां जैसे नसीब की सरहदें पार कर लेंगे, ये आग की बरसातें, बस साथ न छोड़ मेरा, साथ न छोड़, ये इश्क नहीं आसान, ये इश्क नहीं आसान.
And that was the second song.
Wonderful. You said for the translation, Saath Nahi Chhod, which means never let go. But it is time for us to let go. Thank you very much, Anmol. You've been special. And through every page, through every chapter, through every line, through every word that you write and express yourself, the world is watching. We are waiting. And good luck for everything. Thank you so much, Anmol. You've been special. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rajiv.
Thank you very much.